Welcome to the NIH SPARC program Fireside Chats. In this video, you will hear from SPARC researchers and their peers about their latest discoveries from the bench to the bedside and the exciting potential of bioelectronic medicine to improve health.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charles Horn, an associate professor at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine in Pennsylvania in the United States. I'm here with Professor O'Grady from New Zealand, who's actually in the future. He's speaking from tomorrow from New Zealand at 10 o'clock, and I'm here at 4 o'clock. First, Professor O'Grady, if we can get a little bit about your expertise, your institution, your title, and also your role at your institution.
Well, thanks, Charles. Thanks for inviting me on today to have a talk. So I'm a professor of surgery at the University of Auckland in New Zealand. Yeah, and my role is really split half between clinical practice and half in the research world. And my clinical practice is focused on diseases of the gut, doing surgery mainly on colorectal diseases and also general surgery. And then my research is focused on translational physiology and medical devices. And we try and make original solutions to unmet needs in the gut and also develop medical devices to solve real-world problems.
I realize that you come out with a lot of findings, I think great findings from what I've seen in the literature. Can you give us a 1 to 2 sentence summary of a recent discovery from your group?
Sure. So we mainly work on the stomach and the colon and try and understand what abnormalities go wrong in patients whose gut is not working properly. So one of the more interesting ones perhaps we've been working on lately is following surgery. A lot of the time the gut shuts down for several days and doesn't work, and that can be quite horrible for patients. They experience nausea and vomiting, and they can't pass bowel motions, and they can't eat, and it keeps them in hospital, and that's a very expensive problem. So we've recently discovered quite an interesting finding in the colon. People used to think that after surgery the colon goes quiet and stops moving, and that's why these patients are not progressing. But what we've found is actually that in a lot of patients, the colon becomes overactive, and because it's too active, perhaps the contents can't get through. And so we're really working now to understand this problem and whether it does relate to this slow recovery after surgery.
Obviously, from what you've just said, it's very applied, your research, to the medical domain and for treatments. Can you say a little bit more about maybe a constellation of disorders that you're trying to target in the clinical domain?
Yeah, definitely. We try and be as focused on clinical problems as we can. The diseases we focus on in the stomach are very common, things like functional dyspepsia, when people experience indigestion after eating, and then nausea and vomiting syndromes that are really unexplained a lot of the time. And these patients can be very difficult to treat for clinicians, but also patients can end up having a real struggle to get a diagnosis and to get a satisfactory treatment, and that leads to a poorer quality of life. So we're trying to understand some of the basic problems, the motility problems happening in the gut that underlie these problems. And then in the bowel, as I said, my main interest is in surgical recovery and trying to understand how we can make that faster and better for patients so that they have a better time, a better experience, and hopefully it improves the cost of care as well for the hospital.
Switching a little bit to the scientific side of this research, what do you think the impact is of your research on the field of bioelectronic medicine?
You know, just like the heart, the gut is a very electrically active organ, and that's not often appreciated. People tend to overlook it, or at least there's nothing in clinical practice really that comes back to the innate bioelectricity of the gut. So whereas in cardiology we have this amazing range of diagnostics and therapies now based on bioelectricity, in the gut it's very still embryonic. And so we're trying to develop techniques like pacing, ablation of aberrant pathways in the gut, mapping tools to diagnose gut electrical patterns, and we hope that some of these will filter through to clinical practice in time.
From looking at many of your publications, I can see that there's a really strong collaborative or partnership relationships that you have. Can you say more about that and how it might provided value to your publications, your research through scientists or teams or institutions that you partner with?
Yeah, this is so important. I think, the best science now, all the easy stuff has been done in science, let's face it. And the way you can make the best progress, I think, is working in these interfaces, these difficult problems that require a team approach. And so while I bring important skills in clinical practice and physiology and some of the understanding of engineering, I'm not an engineer. So I work closely with engineers who bring really core technical skills that then, when combined, can be quite synergistic. And this is something that I've fostered quite deliberately just in the last 2 or 3 years. Just an understanding that, especially in engineering, when you publish something in the literature, it's very hard for people to use that new discovery or advance or technique. And only by bringing it through into a product can people use it. And this is something I've discovered is something I want to be involved with, to see these advances we're trying to achieve come into the real world. And so I'm very passionate now about commercialization and both working with existing companies, but also spin out companies from our university to try and bring these discoveries into the real world.
I want to also ask, what did you know about the SPARC program and its mission to advance bioelectronic medicine through open science prior to today's interview? Now, the SPARC program is simulating peripheral activity to relieve conditions, and it's an NIH program that has lots of investigators, many of which are around the world.
Yeah, I've been watching it closely and I'm very inspired by it. I think it's a great vision. What I really like about it is the open collaborative approach, but also a very deliberate approach to trying to map in detail the pathways that are involved in controlling organs through electricity and also nervous system, which is so important in the gut through the autonomic nervous system, obviously, for example. And so I've been watching, how can we learn and apply this SPARC program in our practice? From our side, we can provide detailed maps of the motility patterns of the guts, for example, in humans, whereas we need to learn from other SPARC investigators some of the autonomic pathways and how we can be very deliberate in learning about those so we can target them with new therapies for the gut. And that's where I'm hoping to see things evolve, where we can apply some of the work being done in the SPARC program to our own practice.
Now, one of the main things that the SPARC program is trying to do is to create this SPARC portal. It's at sparc.science, where you can find many data sets on organ systems and nerves. You can find simulation models. You can find references to publications from the SPARC program. Do you find that useful, or is there ways in which it could be more useful?
Some of the interfaces that are being developed on the portal to be able to, it's kind of like having a Google Earth approach where you can zoom out and see the whole pathways, but then zoom in and see individual nerve bundles and their arrangements and organizations, or zoom in on the tissue level and see how these nerve pathways interact with gut muscle fibers and things, the enteric nervous system. And so, having that ability to really map and then visualize the pathways, I thought was just great. And to see that come live on the SPARC website will be pretty exciting for researchers who want to apply these discoveries in their practice. The other cool thing was he was showing me some ability to conduct simulations in the portal, so you can apply different levels of nervous stimulation and see the effect at the cellular level. And that degree of integrative physiology it just looks really awesome across different animal models and humans. Yeah, it's pretty exciting work.
That's definitely something that we're developing as we're moving forward, taking all of the data that's been pushed up to the portal and then trying to be able to pull that into simulations that would be useful for this community.
Yeah, I think you're going to find a lot of knowledge gaps is the other thing.
Right.
But it's not until you try to map these pathways out that you discover what we don't know, which is a lot actually in the gut, I think. Absolutely.
I'd like to also turn now to some questions that we call our quick fire session. We have a set of questions and some of which are sort of about your background, what inspired you, what led you into this business of your domain of science. Let me start off by asking you, what scientific advance inspired you during your career?
One of the things that inspires me is the story of Earl Bakken, the founder of Medtronic, a guy who just loved bioelectricity. And I understand that he was a big fan of the movie Frankenstein. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. And the image of him creating pacemakers in his garage all those years ago to develop, the first true cardiac pacemakers, I think is just a fantastic story, and the impact that that's had through, in the end, commercialization, but the number of patients' lives that's improved is, I think, a pretty wonderful story and one I've found very inspiring.
What do you wish you knew then that you now know with regards to being a scientist?
I think we've talked about collaboration and just how important that is to achieve good science, and that's a foundation of what I do. But I think the other thing is understanding that publishing papers are not necessarily the only or best way to have impact in your work has been something that's really dawned on me in recent years. And I'm very passionate about trying to now have an impact in the real world. Maybe it's because I'm a clinician and I see so many patients who struggle with gastrointestinal diseases where we don't have good diagnostics or therapies. But I've become more and more interested in trying to deliver solutions, and that can include products that can improve their lives. And that's something I've only really come around to recently.
Well, Professor O'Grady, it's been wonderful chatting with you in this interview, and I thank you, and SPARC thanks you.
Thanks very much, Charles. It's great to talk, and I'm very interested to see how SPARC develops in the future.
We are glad you could join us for this SPARC program Fireside Chat. For more information on the NIH Common Fund SPARC program, please visit our website at commonfund.nih.gov/SPARC. Thank you for watching, and keep up to date with the latest news by following our Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube accounts. See the video description for account details.